Think about the last time you played a fighting game. You lost a round, your health bar went all the way to 0, a banner popped up, and then, just like that, you were back. Same stage, health bar full, ready to go again. You didn't think about it. Nobody does. But somebody had to build that. Somebody had to decide what gets reset, what carries over, when does the game actually end, what happens when the timer runs out, and what the hell does the camera do when your character ceases to exist. I was that somebody, and I was not ready. Hello there, I'm Mysteries. I'm building a 2D multiplayer fighting game in Unreal Engine 5 and teaching myself how complicated the round system actually is along the way. Let me ask you something. Why do fighting games have rounds? Not lives, rounds. The idea that you play to a conclusion, reset, and do it again. Think about it from a pure design perspective. A single life means one mistake ends everything. That's fine for some games, but fighting games are about reads, adaptation, and learning your opponent mid-match. If you lose to a technique in round 1, round 2 is your chance to answer it. The round structure is what gives you a chance to adapt. It's what separates a fight from a one-sided slaughter. Games like Street Fighter, Tekken, Smash, they all have their own version of this. Some go best of 3, some have stock lives, some have a timer that forces aggression. The format changes, but the idea is the same. A round has a beginning, a middle, and an end. For my game, I want a structure that feels familiar but leaves room for the ability selection system to actually matter. Win a round, pick an ability. Lose a round, still pick an ability, but now you're behind on score and you need to think about what to pick. The round isn't a score counter, it's a breakpoint in the middle of a longer fight. Before any of that could exist, I needed the most basic version of this to work. A round starts, someone wins, a round ends, and then we go again. Simple, right? The first thing I built was the game mode. If you've never heard that term in Unreal, the game mode is basically the referee. It doesn't play the game, it watches it. It keeps score, it decides when rounds start and end. Every match has one, and it's the right place to put all the logic that doesn't belong to any single character. To start things off, I had to create the most important variables. Player rounds 1, enemy rounds 1, and how many rounds it takes to win the match. Then I had to set up spawn points, and this was actually simpler than I expected. I placed invisible target point actors in the level and gave them tags. One tagged player spawn, one tagged enemy spawn. When the match starts, the game mode scans the level, checks which target point has which tag, and copies those locations into the player and enemy spawn variables. Before starting the round, it also checks that both spawns were actually found. No point trying to start a round if half the level is missing. For something that sounds complicated, this took me 10 minutes. I immediately became suspicious. The start round function. Simple in theory. I said that to myself many times while building it. However, I want to explain what the core of it is. Spawn the player and the enemy at the locations we just saved. For the enemy, I used set actor transform, just move it to the right position. For the player, it's slightly more involved, because the player isn't just a body, it's a body that needs a brain. The player controller, think of it as the brain, has to possess the character. This actually reframes how you see the characters you play in games. The function is literally called possess. You are a brain that inhabits a body. Now, there's one small thing in there worth mentioning. Before spawning an enemy, I first check if an enemy reference already exists. If it does, I destroy it before spawning a fresh one. On round 1, there's no enemy yet, so we just keep straight forward to spawning. From round 2 onwards, there's a previous enemy still sitting in memory from the last round. So we clean that up first. Without this check, you would quietly accumulate ghost enemies in the background every round, and eventually something would break in a way that's very hard to debug. Then I needed a way to communicate who won a round. So I created an enumerator, which is just a named list. Player, enemy, draw. I have never been more satisfied with a list made up of 3 words before. That sounded way more sad than it should have. Whenever a round ends, something passes one of those 3 values to the game mode, and the game mode knows what to do with it. End round receives a winner and acts differently depending on the result. It updates the score, then decides has anyone won enough rounds to end the match. If yes, end the match. If no, we go again. which brought me to a chain of custom events to handle the in-between. End round continue destroys the current enemy, then reschedules the round restart. Schedule round restart sets a short delay before calling start round again. You might notice in the footage that I invalidate a timer before setting a new one. This confused me for a while until I found an analogy that made it click. Imagine you make a hotel booking and you get a receipt. To cancel that booking, you need that receipt. I save a reference to every timer I create, a handle, so I can cancel it later if needed. And before I start a new timer, I always cancel my existing one first. Just a safety net. The last thing I want is two versions of the same timer running at once and creating some kind of infinite round loop while trying to test my new features right before bed. On paper, everything worked, but we all know that this is one of those cursed sentences you say before shit happens. I set up a button to end the round with the player winning and one for the enemy winning. Immediately I noticed my player was about twice the size he should be. The reason? Well, you see, player transforms carry three values: location, rotation, and scale. When I applied the spawn points transform to my player, I applied all three, including the scale of the spawn point actor, which is just scale 1, the default. My character is supposed to be half that size, so he was spawning enormous every round. The fix was to only pass location and rotation from the spawn point, and set the scale manually. Not elegant, works perfectly, I'll deal with it properly when the character size is actually finished. On the positive side, the enemy disappeared on round end and a few seconds later the round restarted. Rough around the edges, barely looks like anything, but it works. And let's not pay attention to John over there. Him lacking gravity is a design decision. I could have stopped here and moved on to polish, but I needed to see what happened when my player actually dies. Spoiler alert! This is the second video in a row where morbid curiosity leads somewhere I was not ready for. I modified the death event to disable player input and call end round, with the enemy as the winner. Set up a button to take damage, hit it enough times, and black screen. Complete darkness. My health bar was somehow still visible at 0. My hotbar was still there, but I couldn't see or do anything. And then I noticed. The health bar was actually back to full. The round had restarted, I just couldn't see it. When you destroy an actor in Unreal, you remove it from the level entirely. The player controller, the brain, loses its body. The camera, which was attached to that body, goes with it. If I then spawn a new actor, the controller doesn't automatically jump into it. The camera is still disconnected, still pointing at where the old actor used to be, which is nothing. The fix? Given my current setup where the camera lives on the character, all I need to do was to not destroy the actor at all. On death, hide it, disable its collision, stop its movement. It becomes a ghost, invisible, untouchable, frozen in place. Then on revive, undo all of that. Same actor, same camera, and no disconnection from the body. The death event hides and shuts everything down. The revive event turns everything back on. And funnily enough, the two events look almost identical, just with opposite values. Right after fixing the camera issue, a new one appeared. After the round reset, I couldn't move. I tried set ignore move input. I tried set ignored look input. Different combinations, different orders. My character would still drift or get stuck after revival, or just refuse to respond at all. Think of the movement component like the engine of a car. Blocking input is like covering the steering wheel. The engine is still running underneath, just waiting. I was trying to solve an engine problem by messing with the steering wheel. Disabling the movement component itself is turning the engine off entirely, and turning it back on is as simple as setting it to walking mode on revival. That is at least the way I see things. To be honest, I still don't fully know what I was doing wrong with the input blocking approach, but this works, and for now, that's enough. A round needs a time limit, not just for design reasons, though those matter, but because I need to handle a draw. If both players are still alive when the timer runs out, whoever has more health wins. Equal health means draw. The countdown itself is straightforward. The tricky part is what happens when the round ends early. If someone dies at 30 seconds, the timer needs to stop. If it keeps running and fires end round at 0, I would end the same round twice. The score breaks, everything that depends on it breaks too. This is exactly where the timer handles I mentioned earlier come in. When the round ends, for any reason, I pass the round tick handle to clear and invalidate, and the timer disappears, like it was never running. The round ticks every second. Each tick it subtracts 1 from the time remaining and checks. Are we at 0? If yes, grab both players' health, compare them, and call end round with the right winner. Player, enemy, or draw. The same function handles all 3. There is a rule in game development that sounds obvious until you forget it. Clean up after yourself. Anything you spawn into the world, you are responsible for removing. The world does not do it for you. My solution was a tag called round transient. Any actor that shouldn't survive between rounds gets the tag. Projectiles, temporary enemies, skill effects. At the start of every new round, the game mode finds everything with the tag and destroys it. For those keeping track, here is the full chain from start to finish. The match starts, spawn points are found, start round runs, checks the match isn't already over, cleans up any leftover transient actors, resets the player, spawns the enemy, starts the round countdown. The round plays out, someone dies or the timer expires, end round fires with a winner, timer is cleared, score is updated, if someone has enough round wins, end match fires, and the match is over. If not, the round resets and we go again. That's it. No HUD yet, no visible score, no banners. All I have is logic running in the background. It doesn't look like much, but every system that comes after this, the camera, the score display, the ability picks between rounds, all of it plugs into this loop. This is the spine. Everything else is just built on top of it. The round system was honestly so fun to build. During the entire process I was excited every step of the way, and I tried my best to share it because at its core it is one of those things that players take completely for granted. Well, myself included, of course. Nobody watches a fighting game and thinks, wow, impressive round structure. It definitely gave the game more structure, and I just know that slowly but surely, with every video I put out, even if right now it mostly looks like debugging text and a character with no gravity, the game is progressing, and that fills me with joy. Next video we're going to make this actually look like a match is happening. The score on screen, the timer you can see, the camera that actually follows both players. All the things that turn a working system into something that looks like a game. If you're enjoying this kind of devlog where I show the systems, the bugs, and the weird situations I somehow end up in, stick around. I'm going to keep breaking and rebuilding this until I actually have fun playing it. And I'll leave you with one more question. In a game like this, should rounds have a time limit at all? Or should every round only end when someone gets knocked out? Let me know your opinions down below.